is running, but the relationships are fixed.
Yes.
So that it would appear to people as if nothing is running, you see. We are destroying our environment with our own hands. And that's why the Quran says, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. You're watching Lifting the Fog, or clearing away the misconceptions that people have about Islam and what Islam teaches. We've been talking about the subject of the Qur'an and the Bible, and specifically we were talking about the verse in the Qur'an that tells us about who will be guided by the Qur'an. Now this verse starts out in the beginning of Surah Baqarah. Baqarah is the first real chapter after the 7-verse prayer. It's labeled number 2, but it's understood to be the actual meat of the Qur'an, where it comes in. Now here it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. I want to mention something. This is a small point, but it's something worth noting, that the word here, ذَلِك, it does not mean this. It means that. If you say this, you say هَذَا. When you say ذَلِك, you mean that. So technically, there's already a mistranslation when we say, this is the book wherein there is no doubt, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Actually, it means the book which is with Allah. There is no doubt in the book that's with Allah. And that makes sense, both from the standpoint of the Muslim and those who follow Scripture from before. There can be no mistake. There can be no doubt in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God's book. But what happens when people begin to try to write it down? And who will be guided by it? And Allah has told us about this, very clear. When it says, Huda lil muttaqin, Huda here is talking about hidayah or guidance. Who are the people that are going to be guided? And Allah tells you, they are the ones who have taqwa, muttaqin. Remember what we said in some of our other programs, when you have a verb or action, when you put mu in front of it, that's the one who has it. Taqwa, taqi, muttaqi, muttaqi'in. Those people having taqwa. What is taqwa? Taqwa is a piousness or righteousness in that they are God-fearing. They're conscious of the fact that, what I'm doing, God is watching. God is listening, and God knows about that. This is more or less the meaning of this word taqwa, God consciousness. In addition to that, Allah names some other characteristics of the person who's going to be rightly guided. He says that they are the people who believe in al-ghaib, which means the unseen. And this includes the paradise. We don't see the paradise. It also includes the hellfire. We don't see that either. It includes believing in Allah. We don't see Allah. We don't see the angels. All of these things are in the ghaib. And Muslims are to believe in that, according to the verse. When it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِّن رَّبِّهِمْ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And here Allah is telling us about believing, having iman, and that's why the word mu'min, having belief and faith in what? In the unseen. Even though you don't see it, you believe in it. These are some of the conditions we've spoken about in some of our other segments of this Lifting the Fog series. Additionally, they have to establish something called salah. Now, many times, this is another word we translate to English as prayer. But to the Christian or to the Jew, prayer means supplication. That's when you would put your hands like this, oh God, I need this, I need that, and so and so. For the Muslim, we have that. When we raise our hands and we ask, this is called dua, not prayer. Dua. Then we have something else mentioned in the Bible, that a person should pray unceasingly. This is in the New Testament. Muslims have that too, and this is called being God conscious, in that you're remembering Allah, the remembrance of Allah, thinking about Allah. In Arabic though, this is called what? Adhkar, Allah, to remember Allah. This is also translated to English as prayer. But specifically salah is not prayer. In some of our other segments we'll be dealing more about this, but to let you know, Salah is a ritualistic worship where the Muslim stands erect, facing the Qibla, with his hands placed specifically in front of him, and then he begins his recitation of Qur'an. He bows, stands, prostrates, sits, etc., following the way of Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. All of this helps us to understand what is this thing called Salah. The next thing it mentions here, he has to give from his rizq. The rizq, or his daily bread, if you will, his wealth, the things that Allah has blessed him with, he will give that to the poor, to those who are less fortunate than he is. And he does so as an obligation, knowing that he has to do it. Then these people to you, O Muhammad, I'm continuing the verse, and they have to believe what was sent down before. That's already now in the very beginning of the Qur'an, reference to the previous revelations. Anzala, or what is sent down, what was sent down min qablik, before you. And what is that? Of course it's talking about what we today call the Bible, or book. It was sent down. It was sent with Adam, and it was sent with Abraham and Moses, Noah, and David and Solomon and Jesus. Now, not all of them had actual books, physical books, but all of them had this same message of revelation coming and showing the people of what? That there is only one God. You have to worship Him on His terms. And that's what this message is about. I want to continue now in this comparison between Qur'an and other revelation. As would be expected by a Christian, that when the revelation of Jesus comes, the people who were before, such as the Jews, would be obliged to accept and understand that now the next revelation has come, and the last one before this is no longer in effect. Regardless of what you have that has survived, this now supplants that, replaces that, or abrogates it. Therefore, when Jesus came and spoke to His people and talked about revelation, what was ever before that is no longer valid unless He gave validity to it. Likewise, when Moses, peace be upon him, came, he did the same thing, and he verified and confirmed the previous revelation, which came from the prophets before Moses. Now, when we have Muhammad, peace be upon him, coming, and he's reciting to us from Qur'an, and he's telling us this is the final and the last revelation, and no revelation will come after this. It doesn't mean that it puts down the previous revelation. In fact, Muslims cannot be Muslims unless they accept all revelation as originally having come from God. But at the same time, it means that we have to know that when Allah supplants or abrogates previous revelation, that's His right. In fact, that may be one of the tests that He's giving us as human beings. So the Muslims do believe in all revelations, but they believe in them in the context as they came, but what's today doesn't represent that anymore. Just as if someone has a Bible in the English language, and we'll say that's not the way it originally came, we would say the same thing about the Qur'an. If someone produced a Qur'an in English and said, here's the Qur'an in English, we'd say, no, it's not. This is not the meaning. Because Qur'an is recitation. So therefore, if you're saying it in another language, it's not the same recitation anymore. Let me give you another example. Just at the time of Jesus, He was telling His followers that they had to believe in the previous revelation, that there weren't going to be any new commandments and nothing is being canceled. We've mentioned that in some of our other programs. At the same time, though, He's telling them specifically what they're supposed to understand, just in case they may have misunderstood something that came before, or perhaps they weren't privy to that. They didn't know that. So He's clarifying it for them and showing them exactly, regardless of how you thought it was, this is how it is today. And so, with that concept in mind, we can now look at the Qur'an in the same light that we would look at the previous revelation. It is coming clearly saying that yes, that came from God. Yes, you have to believe it. But no, it doesn't exist in its original format today. Therefore, you must accept what's in Qur'an if you're a true believer in the previous revelation. So it works both ways. A good Christian or a good Jew should be able to recognize these revelations were supplanted, abrogated by Allah. and they need to go with the most recent edition, if you will. And there is no edition of Qur'an coming after Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. Allah said in the Qur'an that He is the Khatam al-Anbiya. He's the seal of all of the prophets. And there's not going to be any prophet come after Him. And when we listen to what He had to say, He clearly told the people that there would be no new revelation after Him, and that the Qur'an is the final speech of Allah. So if we understand this, it becomes easier for us to realize that the Qur'an, the speech of Allah, the recitation, is with us presently, not in a written format, as much as it is in the hearts and the memories of the people today. We have learned the Qur'an from teachers who also learned it from their teachers, who learned it from their teachers. All of them reciting it from mouth to ear. And each who hears that then teaches the generation after them. So Qur'an is what you hear and recite. This is an amazing thing when you consider that nothing else can be passed down in tradition like this. If you took a room of 10 or 15 people and then ask each one to sit with you, you're going to tell them something and have them memorize it and then try to communicate this to the next person. Then they in turn will communicate it to the next one and to the next one by one. At the end, it wouldn't be the same message anymore, would it? It would change. Yet the Qur'an has never been changed. So this is something in Arabic called mu'ajiza, or a miracle. It can't be, and yet it is. It exists today as it was recited at the time of Muhammad. Oh, and by the way, I should mention to you, he couldn't have copied something from the Bible, nor could he have made it up and written it down. You know why? Because Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was known as the illiterate prophet. He did not read, nor did he write. It would not have benefited him at all to have found some previous scrolls or previous books, because he wouldn't be able to read it anyway. There are many narrations in the traditions of Muhammad explaining that whenever something had to be read, he would have to bring someone who would read it to him and tell him what it said. Even when he signed a document, he did so with a seal or khatam, which is on a ring. You press it down in the wax, just like the kings do when they press this seal. That's the way he signed, because he didn't even write his name. So if you understand that he couldn't read, couldn't write, yet the Qur'an is an amazing thing in its recitation form, how could somebody come up with this, made it up on their own? The Qur'an is the recitation of Allah. It is the complete and final revelation from God Almighty to mankind. It confirms, verifies, and authenticates all the previous revelation. The final point is, we as Muslims don't debate about the Bible being the Word of God. We know it was. We just know it doesn't exist in that format anymore. We also don't accept the Qur'an in translation either. So this is the meaning behind believing in the kutub, or the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We hope we've been able to clear up some of the misconceptions with this edition of Lifting the Fog. Stay tuned for more.